Are you ready? Hey there, you are listening to Thynktank Millionaire podcast, where on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you get an unfiltered, raw, and authentic conversation about the challenges of being an entrepreneur and tips and tricks on how you can scale your business to the next level. If you are looking to scale your business, then get ready to buckle up. Introducing our host, Alexa D'Agostino. Are you ready? Hey there, you are listening to Thynktank Millionaire podcast, where on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you get an unfiltered, raw, and authentic conversation about the challenges of being an entrepreneur and tips and tricks on how you can scale your business to the next level. If you are looking to scale your business, then get ready to buckle up. Introducing our host, Alexa D'Agostino.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thynktank's Millionaire Podcast, a podcast with real entrepreneurs with real problems and real solutions to help you solve them to scale your business to the next level. I'm Alexa D'Agostino, and I am your host of Millionaire Podcast. And today I am here with one of my awesomest clients. I don't even know if that's a word, but whatever. I just made it up. I'm pretty sure it's not a word, but we're going with it. Awesomeness.
I'm good with awesomeness.
Scott Burgess, and we're here to talk about something really important, and it's the fact that your ugly brand is actually affecting your bottom line, and you don't even realize that it's actually impacting your bottom line. And we're going to talk. So Scott is an expert in this, and Scott, why don't you introduce yourself, tell our audience who you are, who you help.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Scott Burgess. I'm the CEO and founder of the Burgess Agency. And I also have a second business, or a little, I guess you could say, persona, called the Branding Teacher. And that's actually where I help teach entrepreneurs how to brand their businesses. But background's been in marketing and branding for past 12 years or so. I found my passion, which is branding. And now I get to help businesses build their dream brands to help maximize their marketing and sales efforts. So I get to do what I love and make a little money doing it.
Yeah, what I love is, big part of passionate CEO is passion, and Scott definitely has so much passion for it. And I see it in every masterclass and every coaching session. I just see the passion coming out of him, and that's what's fun about it, right? About what we do. But I also love that you have this alter ego, the brand teacher, because it's so different from your other self, which is you're helping rebrand and brand companies, and it is two different things. And I look at it like, if you see me in business versus coaching, it is like two different people, because you have to bring different things to the table, right?
It is, for sure. Like, my brand rebranding clients are looking for something a little more professional. They're people who've been in business for years now, while my coaching clients, they are maybe still working a full-time job and they're trying to launch their businesses. So they're much more laid back and they connect with people who are more real. So yeah, definitely two different alter egos going on online.
Yeah. So let's talk about crappy brands. So how do you, I'm sure you just sometimes see brands and you're like, God, that brand is so ugly. So what do you look for when you're out and you find these ugly brands? What immediately do you go? Is it the color? Is it the logo? Is it the what is it that's ugly?
It can be so many things. I mean, obviously the first place I look is the logo, and the logo is not the most important part of a brand, but you can usually tell if someone's going to have a good brand or a bad brand just based on their logo design. But the first thing I really look at is just their website and their overall brand style. And I come across some websites that still look like they're back in 2005, and I don't do website development, but I know that they need to update that. And I know that if their website's outdated, I can only imagine how their marketing materials and their brand actually looks, when they're presented to people. So, ugly brands can turn you away. I had a client the other week that said they went to someone's website to buy a service, and they actually, exited the website because they didn't trust them with their brand. Or their business. It was so ugly. They didn't trust them to do business with them. And that affects your bottom line. This business didn't even know they had a customer that was wanting to do business with them. It was a mystery. So.
Yeah. So you just said something really important. It's not about the people you're not closing. It's about the people that aren't even coming forward because your brand is so ugly, right?
100%.
Such an important point. People mention our branding all the time, and they like the gold and they like the design. It's because I guess I cheat because I own an agency, but it's so important. It's so important to have the right branding. Now, I also say on the other side of it, and I'm curious what you think, sometimes people spend too much time on logos and too much time on colors. And so it's finding that balance.
It really is. And I actually have a client right now that I'm rebranding, and we've been stuck on the logo for about 6, 7 weeks now. And it's because of internal disagreements on the logo. But I have to remind them the logo is not the most important part, not even your brand style. To me, the most important part is the messaging, but it's the whole encompassing of how you bring it all together through that design that really makes a brand stand out and be strong. So if people always just say, oh, I need a great logo. No, you don't. You need a great brand identity, because that's going to push your marketing and your sales efforts further.
Well, look at like Nike, right? Look how much their logo has changed over the years. It's going to change. It's going to evolve. And I think that's the most important. Even look at my brand. In the last 2 years, I've changed it and evolved it, and it grows with you, right?
And I change my brand all the time. I'm always making tweaks here and there with the look and feel to try to get it right, because it's always evolving based upon not only design trends, but what's going on in the market. How are you connecting with people? If you see something working for someone else, sometimes it's nice to take that and try it out a little bit. And you should revisit your brand every few months, especially your messaging. But I mean, I think it's like every 7 to 10 years, they really recommend a big overhaul, just because, the economy changes, your customer changes, and more importantly, your business has probably changed in those 7 to 10 years. You're probably saying different things, or, even doing different types of services or products now than you were a few years ago.
Yeah, I say 4 to 5 years is, in my opinion, really about when you want to start to look at a rebrand. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, probably around 4 to 5 years to start thinking about it, but I definitely think pull that trigger. Once you get past 6, 7 years, it is definitely going to be outdated looking. I mean, design trends change all the time. What's happening right now with design is going to be a lot different a decade from now. And I do think that part of it, the reason there's a lot of change is just because we're on the digital age. Everything's on our phone, everything's on our screen. So you have to design your brand to work well on mobile, to look well on desktop. So it's a big challenge for designers now. You don't see a lot of crazy logos anymore. Everything's kind of more, minimalist, a lot more modern and sleek design, because that looks so much better, on the screen.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I get a lot of comments about the tank in our logo, and they're like, please just make it a flat gold, please. And so it's like, and that's actually one of the things I really like about your branding, and some of the work and portfolio items I've seen from you is it's so crisp and clean and simple. Because here's the problem: as entrepreneurs, we want to complicate everything. We want to make everything so complicated people can understand, but a confused buyer won't buy. So it's like, talk to us about why simplicity is so important in branding.
Well, one, my design style has always been very modern, very clean. I've never been a big, heavy, graphic. I don't like a lot of stuff on my screen. You always see a lot of white space, and that's by design. And I think it's because I took a lot of inspiration from Apple, and I've gotten a lot of compliments that a lot of the brands I've helped create have kind of an Apple vibe, and it works well for Apple. So I'm sure it's going to work well for these brands, but
they know something, right? I think they do.
I think they know a little bit. To me, they're the best at brand and marketing, but that's just my opinion, But there's so many things to take into consideration as you are, building your design and doing your brand. And I think it's important to keep it simple, because you only have a few seconds to attract someone's attention. So your eye can only focus on one thing at one second at a time, 1 millisecond. So if you can get something to grab their attention that's simple, it's going to be more memorable over time. Your brand identity is going to be, increase over that time, just because people can remember your logo easier. That's the simplest thing I can say about that.
Yeah. So let's give some implementation steps here, right? So whether they are a new company looking to rebrand, what are the steps to, understand if you, one, have an ugly brand, but two, once you identify, okay, my brand's ugly, what are the next steps? Like, where do you even begin?
Yeah.
Besides hiring you?
Besides hiring me, that's a great point. Hire me and I'll do it all for you. But the first thing you want to look at is, I'd say, just go look at your website and compare it to your competitors' websites. That's the easiest thing you can do. And you can also kind of tell if your logo, your website, your marketing materials are getting outdated. Just start looking around and seeing what your competitors are doing. See what other people in other industries are doing. And if you're starting to notice that, wow, I'm looking a little old, or something's looking a little off here, you might want to start thinking about your design style. And once you figure out that, hey, I need to update my brand, I need to get a new look, and I probably need to update my messaging along with it, the first thing you need to start doing is just doing some research online. You want to see what everyone else in your industry looks like, because you want to make sure not only that you're on par with them, but you're doing it better than them. That's what I always say. Take inspiration from your competitors, don't copy, but make it better. And that's an easy thing to do. You can take, Frankenstein your brand. Oh, I like how they did their logo here. I want to do something like that. Oh, I like how they said this. That might work with my brand. So you can kind of just piece it all together. And that's the easiest way to start getting those first steps of a brand built. And then you got to find someone to do it for you, unless you have a great team, who is a branding expert in house. But I definitely recommend always working with someone who can do this and do it well, because they probably have a proven process that's worked for other businesses.
But also too, it's like a third party, right? It's why you hire a business coach like me, because I'm a third party. I see it from a different angle. Like, look at you, right? Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you've seen a very different perspective to running a business since being in our program. It's a third party, 100%. Right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, when I start my branding process, the first thing we do is this deep dive discovery call. And I probably asked a minimum of 60 to 80 questions just to get to know them. And I'm asking some really deep, intimate questions about the business, about them, because the more information I have, I can compile that all together and come out with not only great messaging, but more importantly, a great design style. The design I build is always representative of what you tell me. It's never gonna be something out of left field. So that can be a very intensive process, but it works, and it's always worked. Not to toot my horn.
The answer is always within, but a lot of times when your head is so in it, and you can't step back and actually see what's the big picture here and what are we really doing? I agree with you. I think that sometimes it's hard to rebrand yourself. It's like you can't cut your own hair. Like, it would probably look really bad.
And can I have a little confession? I actually really struggle with my own brand and keeping it and making sure it's effective. And it's because I'm so deep into it. I mean, we have these conversations all the time. Like, I don't think this is working. Like, I need some advice. And I'm like, I do this for a living. Why am I having such trouble with my own brand? And you're right. It's because I'm too deep in the weeds in it. I'm too close to it. So bringing in that outside third party will really help make your brand be more effective.
Yeah, the best was like a week or two ago in a masterclass. You're like, why didn't I think of this? And it's just because you're in it. And I'm like, well, one, I've been doing this for 17 years, but two, you're just so in it. It's hard to take a step back sometimes when you're trying to hustle, you're trying to build business, you're trying to build your brand, to actually step back. So one, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. This was just a little sneak peek. And Scott, I feel like we need to do a little bit more digging on this topic. And I think maybe in a couple of weeks, we come back and go even further into building a brand. What do you think?
I think that'd be a great idea, because a brand is so much more than just the design and look of it. It's actually pretty more in depth of that. You have your messaging, you have your brand voice. You have to figure out why you're in business. So there's so many things that help make a brand, and people just think, like I said, it's only just a logo, but it's so much deeper. And if you can really build out a brand that is authentic to who you are, it's going to help push you so much further to your success.
So takeaways: your brand is ugly, rebrand. Hire Scott. Put a mood board together. Figure out, go look at what other people doing. Figure out, take Frankenstein it, as Scott said, put it together, figure out what you like, different pieces of different brand, and then go hire somebody, AKA Scott. So everybody, if you want more of Scott, share this episode with other people. Share it on social media. The more shares we get, the more I'm going to bring Mr. Scott back. So make sure to share it. And if you want more episodes and you want to check out all the other great episodes that we have, you can go to ThinktankMillionairePodcast.com. And Scott, where can people find you?
Yeah, so they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on there. If you look up Scott Ryan Burgess, hopefully that will pop up. If not, you can follow me on Instagram at The Branding Teacher. Yes, that's The Branding Teacher. And you can also go to my website, burgess-agency.com, and then hopefully see some great examples of my work and, want to work with me, because I'm pretty amazing at it.
You are. And this is coming from somebody that built a lot of brands. You're really, really good. And everyone, all those links will be in the show notes as well. And I'll put them on the screen for the YouTube. So make sure to hit the subscription button so you can hear more from Scott. And thank you so much, Scott. This was fantastic. And I can't wait to talk more about branding.
Thank you. It was so much fun.